Line, I am Mason Voth. That is Drew Galloway. We are here on the Monday before the Big 12 tournament gets going. Best week of the year, not just because it's the Big 12, but there's going to be a ton of other games going on. And unlike the NCAA tournament, where you're just like, okay, yeah, these teams seen each other for the first time, you've got teams seeing each other for the third time. They're historically, most of them have played each other a lot over decades and decades of basketball. But as we're going to see in the Big 12 tournament specifically this year, there are a lot of teams that have not played each other all that much. And we'll dive into everything that goes on with that. Drew, what is the matchup that you most want to see in the Big 12 tournament?
Are we talking like round one or just like in general?
Well, a hypothetical matchup, maybe it's a round one, and I don't want like what you think will be the best game. I want your most disgusting matchup possible that could actually maybe happen. So don't give me like, I want to see Colorado and Arizona State in the Big 12 title game. Yeah, I would love to see that. That would be hilarious. Probably not going to happen.
I think the most disgusting game it is actually going to be a first round matchup. UCF and Utah.
Yeah.
Utah doesn't have a coach. UCF probably doesn't want their season to keep going. That's what I'm saying. UCF might not have a coach soon. So
yeah.
you look at that's probably the grossest matchup. Colorado TCU playing back-to-back games is also pretty gross. Like if you look in Cincinnati, Oklahoma State, like you look at this first round, it is truly for the sickos. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not what we would love, but it's going to be fun. 4 games, 3 days. So that's the benefit of this. And by the time you get to Wednesday, you're going to look at a lot of those and be able to say, well, Oklahoma State already beat Iowa State if they get there. West Virginia and TCU, they're basically the same team. West Virginia just had a better non-con. And so you don't know what you're going to get from those. They could play like the third best team in the Big 12. They could also play like the worst team in the Big 12. K-State and Arizona State, they split. And then both of them, I think, played Baylor tight at points this season. K-State blew a 12-point lead in the second half against Baylor that we all remember. Obviously, Utah, they beat KU. UCF, KU beat them by about 150 in Orlando. And then the Knights, I think, tricked themselves into playing close in Allen, but you'll have that. And then obviously Thursday is just going to be littered with a lot of appealing matchups, except for maybe whoever plays Texas Tech. That's one where I think the national public would go, I don't need to watch that game. Obviously, if you're a K-State fan, you're hoping that K-State is involved there. But our main focus turns to K-State, Arizona State to begin because that is who the Cats have in their first matchup. The 10-15 game, 6 o'clock on Tuesday. And what better way to talk about K-State, Arizona State than bring in yet another one of my former colleagues who surprisingly has a connection to Arizona State. He went there. So the only 2 connections that I really have to Big 12 schools, back-to-back games for the people. He's also one of the better ball knowers in the Big 12. Was the Pac-12, but that putrid league is dead. Good riddance, Pac-12. He gets to live in a real league now, but he also knows a lot about the Big 12 because he is from Kansas City, and that is Gabe Schwartz, who is here to talk about his Sun Devils. And Bobby, is there some life in the program now? Is he going to be able to turn this thing around?
Well, I don't know if you saw the comments on Saturday night after, you know what? First of all, I appreciate being called a ball knower because I have swung and missed, and you did not put this out into the public. But I feel like I have to lay my cards on the table and admit that I have swung and missed on calling 2 games this year of the standard Bobby Hurley out of nowhere saves his job win. And I thought, Houston might be it at home. That was absolutely wrong. I thought that Texas Tech with the 2 seed locked up in the conference tournament, nothing to play for, just a nice little early March spring break vacation to Tempe, gearing up for Kansas City and gearing up for March Madness. Thought maybe that was going to happen. And JT Toppin said, oh, Sean Phillips, Bashir Jihad, whatever, I'll go for 30 and 15 or whatever the number was on Saturday night. And Bobby was distraught after it. So What is up is down in ASU basketball, and what is down is up typically. It never makes sense. But the one thing that has made sense a lot this year is ASU getting beat in a myriad of ways, and largely just off of the fact that they don't have enough bodies. And I think that when we see tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m. or 6 p.m., whatever time that K-State and ASU are tipping, 6 p.m., correct?
Yeah.
That's what we're going to see is unless K-State wants to play rec basketball and they want to just play vibes and 3-point shots and nobody actually plays defense, and they want to let it become what ASU tried to do to Arizona last week at McHale and go 113 to 100, and it's call your own fouls and whatever it is, then maybe it's a game. But otherwise, I don't think there's enough bodies, because what we saw in Manhattan a couple weeks ago, where Jaden Quaintance just takes over the game, and for some reason K-State's game plan was to attack Quaintance with ball screens and have him guard guards one-on-one and use his length. I didn't understand that at all.
Well, the team was lost. No Coleman Hawkins. They didn't know what to do.
Yeah, so there you go. But I just don't think that trump card is on the table for ASU, and so for that reason, I fully expect K-State to handle business Tuesday night and get Baylor on Wednesday.
So Quaintance, you don't think goes? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, to be honest, like I wouldn't hate a 113 to 103 kind of game.
That'd be fun, at least.
If that's the kind of game we're getting, that is better to me than like a 65 to like 50 game.
Yeah, that's kind of what day one of the Big 12 tournament would need at that point, because Cincinnati, Oklahoma State will play a low-scoring game. TCU, Colorado, who knows what to – that's what's funny about this, too, is in the 10-team Big 12, it never felt like to me we got repeat matchups so quickly. But now here we sit. The league's expanded. Last year, K-State and Iowa State played, 4 days after they played in Manhattan? And then the first two matchups of the day on Tuesday are games that took place on Saturday with semi-surprising results, because O-State beat Cincinnati and Colorado beat TCU. So those are going to be ugly, and not to say that the nightcap is going to be pretty, but I think if we're talking ceiling and appeal to watch, there's actually a little bit more like entertainment value with the teams in the evening session that will go there.
Because ASU and UCF have both shown a tendency every once in a while to just be like, are we going to play defense tonight? And the answer is just, nah. Like, why would we do that? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's true. I was going to ask you, though, on the topic of Quaintance not probably being there, any of your other Sun Devils that you think are not going to be able to play? And are we seeing Bobby Jr. out there?
So that's something that K-State fans should be well aware of, is that things have gotten ugly, and if you're not going to the T-Mobile Center on Tuesday night, you're going to see several times the ESPN broadcast cut to a shot of the bench, and you're going to go, why does everybody look like they're like 6'2", 6'1"? Why do those guys, they still have their warm-ups on? Like, they don't look like they're ready to play, but they probably should be, right? Well, that's only the walk-ons, because at this point of the season, BJ Freeman, leading scorer, probably the best transfer they brought in from Milwaukee, he got kicked off the team. People that I've talked to said that he was a complete headache and a disaster from the start. So that's what we've heard. Jaden Quaintance dealing with an ankle injury. You guys saw it happen against K-State in Manhattan. He's probably done for the year. Adam Miller is either been kicked out of several games for fighting, or now he took a knee to the ribs against BYU, and he tried to play against Arizona and was like tapped out after 45 seconds because his hip, ribs, midsection area is having issues. So that's a problem. I'm trying to think of if we've had Alston Mason miss a couple games with illness. They've got a guy out there who Trevor Best, and he's a 17-year-old freshman who they had enroll in December. And thank God for him, because if he wasn't out there, we would be getting 25 minutes a night from Bobby Hurley III. So yes, ASU, and that's why it was 113 to 100, and it was just ASU. You're going to see a lot of this from ASU defenders. Hands up, guys. We can't afford to foul. Sean Phillips and Bashir Jihad cannot afford to foul because if they go out of the game, there is no frontline defense. So if I was David Gasson and if I was Jerome Tang and I was talking to David, I would say, hey, this is a game for you. When you get that pass on the short roll, go up strong. They're either going to foul you and you're going to get the call, or they're going to back away from you and you just need to go up strong and make a layup. So that's K-State's advantage in this one.
I don't know if you've heard, but David Gasson may not stay out of foul trouble because he's kind of the bad boy of the Big 12 now, Gabe. Technical and a flagrant on senior day against Iowa State. So who knows? He might be kicked out Bob Huggins style 6 minutes into the first game of the Big 12 tournament come Tuesday.
That's the thing is there could be some bad blood between these teams because we've seen Adam Miller get into it with Doug McDaniel.
Yeah.
And I thought I saw a little moment of those two going at it again in Manhattan.
Oh, I'm sure they did. Those two profile as guys that would perpetually be going at it with each other.
So I don't think that it's just because it's us in a grouping saying this. I truly think ASU K-State has the most potential for fireworks on Tuesday in the T-Mobile Center because of it's going to have the best crowd and it's going to have an animated coach. We know something will get Hurley.
It's going to have two animated coaches.
Yeah,
there you go.
2.5 if you count Jareem Dowling on the sideline too. You know, so
I would love to see like Doug McDaniel hit a three, Adam Miller not playing, and he turns around and looks at him on the bench.
And then they can spit at each other again or whatever happened in Tempe. But I don't know. That's a great point. And it was funny when you were listing off all the ailments of ASU and the backstories. Like the K-State kind of got to see all of those happen in the two games that they played this year. So yeah, I think it's a fascinating matchup. And Ken Palm says K-State 72-71, but that doesn't tell the whole story because obviously it's not taking into consideration that some guys probably won't play. And it says neutral. We know that Arizona State and Kansas City against K-State, even though it's the Big 12 tournament, that will not be a neutral environment.
No,
so
absolutely not.
Yeah, that'll be a good time. Drew, what else you got thoughts on with K-State, Arizona State? Because, I mean, this is a blockbuster matchup. The college basketball world will be flicking on ESPN Plus Tuesday night to see what's going on here.
Yeah, this is a game where if K-State shows up and really like respects Arizona State, there's no reason this should really be a game if Arizona State's going to be down this many people.
Real quick, is that a problem? Is it a bad thing to respect a bad opponent though? Like,
no, that's the thing is there should be no respect. The best thing that happened for K-State in Tempe was showing zero respect and being like, guys, shoot that three. We want you to shoot that three. And every single time ASU obliged.
I do respect how ASU plays. ASU is a team that like Mason probably really loves secretly because it feels like they just chuck.
Well, the thing is, they really only did it against K-State though, that they were kind of chucking. Now they've lost some of their chuckers too. I can't say I do enjoy it because when Jaden Quaintance is knocking down threes that he throws up in Manhattan, I'm going, okay, that should have been the first indication like things were not going to go well for K-State. They're just like, because that every time one went up, KSU fan would look at Drew and I and go, he's like 1 of 7 from 3 this year, and he's hit 2 of them back to back and all this stuff. Like those are the type of games where you go, not going to happen. Like Cincinnati on Saturday, the second Bryce Thompson scored the first 10 points of the game for Oklahoma State, you're like, yeah, we're screwed because he picked his one out of every 8 games that he shows up.
Bryce Thompson legacy game. It's like his 85th senior night. You knew who was going to go off.
Guys played in a lot of Big 12 tournaments. Well, actually, no, maybe he hasn't because was he at Oklahoma State when they didn't get to play in it that one year? I can't remember.
That's a good call. I think he might have been.
I don't know. I just know that I've gotten a lot of Bryce Thompson and Bobby Pettiford in the last couple of days to think about those guys being at KU.
Bryce Thompson was on the KU team that had COVID and ended, like the COVID ended their actual tournament. Remember that?
Yeah, and they got blown out by USC.
Yes, he was on that KU
Yeah,
team.
and then the next year he was on the Oklahoma State team that was because I think it would have been 22 because 21 was the year that they went to the tournament. Yeah, Bryce Thompson was on the Oklahoma State team that was not allowed to go to the Big 12 tournament because of their postseason ban. So yes, Bryce Thompson has.
You weren't allowed to play in the postseason.
So actually, Bryce Thompson, you can say, hasn't lost in the Big 12 tournament as much as you would think that he has, given how long he's been around.
That is a great point. Very good point about.
So maybe
Bryce
some
Thompson.
of that unconscious energy, could maybe get another Iowa State upset.
And really, did he technically lose in the 21 Big 12 tournament with KU because they didn't play that game against Texas? So just those are things to think about when you're looking at the bets tomorrow. You're like, Bryce Thompson, this guy doesn't lose that much in Kansas City. Drew, what are your final thoughts here? Because you'll be putting together your keys to the game for K-State, and you're talking about respect and letting guys throw shots up or whatever you want them to do. What is K-State specific? Because K-State's been in this weird position this year where they can be a good enough team to where when they face bad teams, they're the reason they'll lose the game. So what is K-State specific that doesn't even depend on what Arizona State brings to the table?
If it's just K-State specific and not even what Arizona State brings to the table, K-State just has to make shots. I mean, we've seen it over the last 2 weeks that K-State hasn't been able to get anything going from three. They're getting some good looks. A lot of times it just feels like they're taking the first available three and it's not really in rhythm. So if they make shots, there's no reason that this will be a remotely close game. I think in Tempe, K-State hit 10 threes. If they can do that with how depleted Arizona State's roster is right now, like that's like a 15-point win.
Yeah. Here's what's interesting about K-State. They will sometimes, you're right, they'll just take the first available one, but then they will also at other times pass up the most beautiful looking opportunity to overpass. And that probably goes into, we talked so much about Coleman Hawkins is kind of the key for this team. If your leader is an overpasser, then your team probably is going to be an overpasser. But yeah, you're right. They were 10 of 26 from three against Arizona State. There were 63 threes shot in that first meeting between these two teams in Tempe. So that's exciting.
Can I just put this out there? I know that people might be, K-State fans might be like, oh, you know what? We just lost this team. Like, I don't want to play them again. Since February 1st, ASU is 1-10.
Oh.
They are, and I know that the one win is K-State, but in their last 4 games, they've lost by 10, 26, 13, and 28. And they've given up 85, 113, 99, and 91. So if I was K-State, if I was anybody in a Wildcats uniform, I would be licking my chops being like, guys, I can go get 20 today. Let's make some buckets.
Also hilarious, Gabe brings that up because the game after K-State beats or Arizona State beats K-State, K-State scores 54 in that game. The next game, BYU drops 91 on Arizona State.
Yeah, K-State's 54 points against Arizona State. That is the least amount of points that a team has scored against the Sun Devils since San Diego on December 3rd. The Toreros dropped 53 points in that game. So that
K-State
was a bad game.
K-State, San Diego, and Idaho State are the only teams that haven't touched 60 against ASU this year.
Well,
that's despite the fact that I think this is a decent defensive team for ASU.
Do we think
when people are healthy?
That case, we know Jerome Tang likes to trust his guards sometimes. should he just tell Doug McDaniel to run as fast as he can down the court with the ball and just try to get to the rim, see if he can just start running back and forth with ASU? Would that be the best thing to try?
Yeah, maybe. I think truly you have to. Your game plan was solid defensively against ASU in both games. One game, random guys made shots that don't normally make shots. The other, they didn't make the shots. Like I would continue to do what you're doing. And you know what? If Sean Phillips touches the ball at the elbow, stand underneath the rim because he will shoot that ball.
Well, that's the thing that I think some people get kind of twisted with K-State, and I'm talking K-State fans right now, is their energy gets misguided on what frustrates them. So like I think there will be times where people will go, "Oh, the defense is terrible. They're doing this or that." K-State's defense, for the most part, really over the last 2 months, has been pretty solid. Like they've had a good idea of what to do. When teams have typically scored more points than you would like, it's because K-State's given them a ton of points off of turnovers. And then, to what you're saying there, like K-State just didn't score against Arizona State. The offense was terrible. And we continue to see like the offense has been really bad for K-State lately. Their last 3 games, they've scored 65, 54, and 57 points. That's not very good. Really, the only outlier is when they scored 76 against UCF, because before that, it was 54 against ASU, 69 against Utah, 65 against BYU. So the offense continues to be the real problem here. And Drew, you talked about like one of the keys is just making shots. I tried to be clear about this on Saturday when I tweeted it out, and some people still seem to either, I don't know if they didn't read the full tweet or, again, comprehend what I'm saying. K-State has gone into too many games this year where the mindset has been, well, you just got to hope shots are falling. And there's a big time difference between just hoping your shots are going in versus like good offense that is generating good opportunities and good shots up. And that's where K-State fails. And so that's why it does become a game of, did you make your shots tonight or did you miss your shots tonight? Because we could go back through and we could find games where K-State wasn't getting good offense, but hey, sometimes it's just your night. The shots are going to fall, and that's how it's going to go. Like I would say it wasn't the full game, obviously, as everybody is well aware, but the first half against St. John's this year would be a prime example of they made shots, but they weren't running good offense in that game. They were up 39-35 at the half, and we know, Brendan Hausen had 1 million points in that game, and 1 million of them came in the first half. That's where K-State is right now, to where, and that's why I tried saying, and somebody still was like, oh, yeah, of course, make shots. It makes it easier. Well, there's a difference here. It's, if you're making them, great. You can take whatever shot you want when you're making them. But K-State doesn't have that kind of offensive ability. You need to be able to create the good looks, whether it's from 3, that's going to give you a better chance to make some more of those, or, for guys like Gasson inside, get stuff moving for them. We'll see if K-State can do it. Obviously, like K-State's not going to be able to fix their offensive problems on a large scale, but for one game, can you do it? And you should be able to, especially against the depleted Arizona State. But we'll see how that ends up playing out Tuesday night. Drew, score prediction from you for the game Tuesday night.
I will say K-State 77, Arizona State 62. Sorry,
Okay.
Gabe.
All right.
You don't have to apologize. It does not offend me in the slightest.
Gabe, your score prediction for Tuesday night.
I'll go K-State 83, ASU 70.
Okay. If K-State scores 83 points, that would be the most points K-State has scored since they beat Oklahoma State 85-57 on January 29th. So
I'll just say this.
Take it.
I'm clearly not the brightest individual when it comes to basketball, and I'm not on a coaching staff. But if I was on a coaching staff and my team was playing this version of the ASU Sun Devils with 6 active, healthy scholarship bodies, and we are not pushing tempo, that's negligence. Like that would be if I was an athletic director and we were walking the ball up the court and stuff against them, I would be like, what are we doing, guys? Like they're eventually, that's the thing is you can, if you're K-State and this game is close at halftime and it's 42-40 or it's 39-36, something in that realm, keep the pace going because you're going to wear ASU down.
Well, here's the tough news about this. K-State only has about 8 guys right now that they trust to be on the floor, and one of them has a serious leg injury that he's playing through with a giant brace. So, yes, K-State much better position than Arizona State, but it's not like K-State also has their share of depth problems, and that's also tough when some of the guys that you have to rely on you don't even trust to be out there. Like,
I was saying,
we only got 2 minutes against Iowa State.
I was literally about to say one has a giant leg brace and the other one is Ugana Yenso.
Yeah, and he doesn't have anything busted in his leg. He doesn't use them anyways. So
I would just say though, it's like if you can push tempo until you've got this thing wrapped up, then you get Baylor the next night, and Baylor is 309th in adjusted tempo in KenPom, and you can grind your way through that one.
Well, and Jerome knows all of Scott's secrets, so
exactly,
that's perfect. The stars are aligned for the Cats. We'll talk more Big 12 tournament in just a moment, but first, everybody loves when I do it, Drew. We got to talk cats2ireland.com. Again, if you thought, hey, I'm just going to wait, I don't need cats2ireland.com, I can do this all on my own, and you're still sitting here thinking that, well, guess what? You were wrong. Can't do that because single game tickets, no more. That ended back in February. So if you're still trying to figure out, okay, how do I get over for the Aer Lingus College Football Classic because I want to be, I want to have a cool experience. I want to live a fun life. I want to watch the Cats and Clones overseas. Well, go to cats2ireland.com and you can still get any kind of setup that you want for your trip over there. What if I told you, Drew, you could go on a 3-city adventure while you're over in Ireland, and in the middle of it, you're going to watch the Cats and the Clones. But you want to take a guess where the first stop of that 3-city adventure could be?
Dublin?
No. That's only the middle part. Getting to the game is only halfway through this. You get to go to the hometown of Moby Ike Garuka. Yeah, you get to start in Galway. So who says no to that? You'd certainly be a fool to not go see where Moby was, throwing down dunks on probably 5'4" redheaded Irish kids, which we found out is really kind of a stereotype because the amount of redheads in Ireland is about the same amount of left-handed people in the United States. So not as many as you would think. Little fun fact in there. 2-city trip. Guess what? Edinburgh and Dublin. I've heard of Edinburgh before. I don't know what goes on there, but you go find out if you go on your 2-city trip. They also have options for if you just want to be in Dublin. Probably makes it easier on you. And you're like, I'm going to be there for 3 days. I get to see the game. I get to see all this beautiful city, do everything else that you need to do there. And then plenty of other options. I know that people love the coastlines. Drew's told us about some of the sites that you can see there. So you can have some driving packages that are available. And those range from anywhere from like 6-night stays to 8-night stays. And then obviously they can get you hooked up with some great golf options over there. I still kind of need to get on the golf aspect of it. Do I even bring a real bag or do I just say, hey, my sticks or my carry-ons here? And I'm walking through the airport with my golf clubs. I don't know. Everybody knows based on our travels this year, I do kind of cheat the baggage system in airports. Is that bag going to fit as a carry-on? Probably not. I still act like it's going to. Once I get up there, either they let me just walk on with it and I get by, or they say, that bag looks a little too big, not going to work out. I'm like, oh, my bad. They let me get it through. I don't know if they let me get it through. I probably just snuck it through. But then they say, I should charge you for this, but I'm not going to because we don't have enough time for that. Boom, free checked bag right there. Or I just wait around and I don't want to be uncomfortable. And I tell Drew, the second they announce we have, too many people on this flight, we need to check some bags, I'm volunteering. I'm first in line. I'm racing up there. That could be you if you book with cats2ireland.com. Just show up, boom, you're good to go. A lot of booms for you if you go over there to Ireland, and plenty of other good packages that I didn't explain to you, but I just wanted to give the full picture to everybody that's sitting around and go, man, I want to be like Mitch Fortner's mom and dad that are getting to go over to Ireland now after
That is true.
Cats to Ireland and K-State hooking them up there. Kathy Fortner throwing the best paper airplane on Saturday at the basketball game, and now she's going to be on a real airplane going to Ireland and getting to listen to the sweet sounds of her baby boy's voice just boom over Aviva Stadium as the PA guy, which, no offense to Mitch, I was a little disappointed that it's not just going to be, a local as the PA guy. We're still going to hear Mitch over the PA system over there, but good to have familiar.
I was also hoping it. I just kind of assumed that it was going to be a local.
Yeah, well, I thought so too until Mitch told me that he got to go over there to do it. So good for Mitch. All right, yeah. Ireland fun fact, Drew.
Okay, so today's Ireland fun fact. The population of Ireland is 5.38 million people. And I knew that you were going to immediately say, like, what is that relative to? Well, the state of South Carolina has the 23rd largest population as of July 1st, 2024 at 5.4 million people. So there's more people in the state of South Carolina than Ireland.
Interesting. Very interesting. Do you any like animal populations around the world that are, are there 5.4 million polar bears? Probably not. I think they're starting to go by the wayside a little bit. But I just
I can give you that in a few seconds.
I was only asking because I've been watching The Americas on NBC that Tom Hanks is narrating. It's something I can watch in the mornings with Elliot because she's like, oh, animals. So today they were talking about polar bears and how that works.
But does Ireland have a Dabo?
Let's see. I doubt they do. They probably.
The other thing that I was going to say with their population is New York City is also bigger than Ireland.
Nah,
that makes sense.
That honestly, that should be the more impressive stat, to be like, we have a city in our country that's bigger than your entire country. But that's the one that doesn't impress me. I'm like, yeah, of course, New York. Like, what are you going to tell me? LA is bigger than Ireland? Like, yeah, okay. I'd rather hear that
LA actually
two Dakotas combined with Wyoming and Montana are as big as Ireland, something like that.
LA is actually not bigger than Ireland.
Okay. Well, I like that fact. I like that one better than New York being bigger than Ireland. So there you go. All right, let's roll on and get back to what people care about. This is the beauty of rolling through. Big 12 tournament outside of K-State and what they've got going on tomorrow night against Arizona State. I have some questions prepared that I want to throw out there. Also want people to know that it should be up at some point today, but I put together my annual here's why every team could win the Big 12 tournament and how their path would look like in doing it. As always, though, the team that is in last on that list, they got a no chance from me. And the winner of this year's Mike Boynton LOL No Way Award is the Colorado Buffaloes. So, Tad Boyle, congratulations.
Wow.
You will not be winning the Big 12 tournament this season. So
I am flattered that you didn't put ASU in that spot.
Well, because I think there's, ASU, who knows? But
the route to that is Alston Mason does like the Thunderstruck, steal your skills from like prime Kemba Walker.
Well, I love that you're bringing up Thunderstruck. That also probably only resonates to people our age and slightly younger. Most people would probably go and think Space Jam. But yeah, Thunderstruck did kind of steal the premise. More realistic Thunderstruck than Space Jam, people are saying.
I respect the Thunderstruck reference because I 100% was thinking he was going to go the Space Jam route. So good curveball.
I'll tell you what my path was that I had for Arizona State winning it. Let's see if I can actually find what I wrote.
What was the Utah route? Like Lawson Lovering remembers how to shoot free throws?
No. Well, if they play K-State, I guarantee you he remembers. No, theirs was just that Gabe Madsen makes 1,000 threes in every game. Mine was for ASU was that I had a bunch of steps to it, and that included like step 1, everybody gets healthy. Step 2, everybody stays healthy. Step 3, baby Bobby plays like his dad for the only time in his life ever. Step 4, Bobby's brother decides that he would rather come and coach his nephew for a week, and they trade places. So Bobby goes and coaches UConn in the Big East tournament. So that was
I would
that
pay
was
to
the
see
process
that.
there for ASU. Yeah, a little coach swap. I think you could make a TV series out of it. Wife swap was hot there for a little bit. Everybody always talks about like, could brothers that look alike, could they trade spots like the Morris twins? Everyone's like, is it Markeith? Is it Marcus out there in the NBA? Probably a little tougher for Bobby and Dan because they don't look the same, but same premise. Just switch spots for a week, see what happens.
Okay, I just thought of this. Going forward, because the committee doesn't really respect conference tournaments anymore, why not have like coaches in the conference, like they do a draft and they pick who they're coaching for the conference tournaments?
Oh, like Bill Self got to coach this K-State roster for a week.
Yes.
Sign me up.
Bill Self's like, I want to coach BYU because I just want to see what it's like to coach a team that can shoot threes.
Oh, wait, actually, well, we know who Bill Self would pick. It'd be Oklahoma State because, he's already been down there at Karsten Creek. Just, he can't remember how long he was there or anything.
Tommy Lloyd would walk out and be like, guys, I want to coach Kansas because I want 2 bigs who actually are good.
Meanwhile, Grant McCaslin and Jerome Tang are fighting over who gets to be the head coach at Baylor for a week.
Baylor.
And Scott Drew, we know he'd be suited to coach K-State because he spurred on the best stretch of K-State basketball all season simultaneously as his team fell like a rock through the Big 12. So, maybe I like that idea. That's a great idea to bring to the table.
Kelvin Sampson just quits. He's like, nobody else in the conference is tough enough to play for me.
That's probably true. Well, Iowa State kind of likes to bully people.
No,
but they're not very. There are whispers out there that they're a little soft.
A little bit.
Kelvin would pick Tech. And it'd be fine. I do think though that like the way that the draft goes, like it should be based on standings. So like Kelvin gets to pick first, and then we make Tad Boyle pick last. Whoever's left over.
Well, should it go the other way? Should Tad Boyle, like you've had that bad of a season, should you get to like? Okay, real quick. Let's do this real quick. Let's do this exercise real quick because this is I'm interested in this now. It's fun. So from the perspective, again, this does not matter. So skip ahead like 20 minutes if you want to get back into real Big 12 talk. But let's do this. You really want Kelvin to get the first pick? We don't give it to Tad Boyle.
We'll give it to Tad.
I think the worst coaches, the worst teams and their coaches should get to pick first because then it's a real like, do you just have a crappy team and can you still coach, or are you bad at everything type of deal?
That'd be a great thought experiment. Yeah.
Yeah. So all right, we'll start. Tad Boyle. Who does Tad Boyle choose to coach?
I feel like if he doesn't pick Houston, he's already dumber than we think.
Yeah, I think it's that, or he picks to choose, like he chooses his alma mater.
Yeah.
It has to be Houston or KU.
I think just for the sake of this and making it interesting and how many times we'll make this joke through it, I think that we do go along the route of Tad Boyle would say, I'd love to coach 1 week, be the head coach 1 week at KU. I think that would be in him. I think he would want that. But you're right. Houston's probably the right pick, but we'll move on. I think that makes it easier. We're giving Tad Boyle Kansas. So congratulations, Tad Boyle, new coach at KU. That brings up Bobby Hurley. Gabe, where would Bobby rather coach?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Well, I actually think he would love to coach Houston.
Perfect.
Because think about this. A guy, he would just get to be crazy angry, but he'd actually have a team that when they take bad shots goes and rebounds them.
Yeah.
He gets to be his brother.
And he's a good
That
defense.
crazy guy.
The one thing you can credit him on is that his teams do defend. Like typically, they play decent defense when they have bodies available.
True.
Uh,
True.
for the
The
memes, I'd
counterpoint is
also love
everybody
to
on
see
Houston would fall
Bobby pick
apart.
like Arizona.
Ooh. Oh.
No.
I got a hypothetical for you, Gabe. If you could, is Bobby going to come back next year? He shouldn't, right? But
I don't know.
yeah, I think a lot of these teams that are new to the Big 12 that are at the bottom, they should just get rid of their coach and start over. UCF,
Well,
ASU, Cincinnati.
The athletic department is also replacing a women's basketball coach. Not that matters entirely, but it's a new AD within the last 2 years. So I would think he'd want to make his own hire at some point.
Yeah. But would you, if you had to have 2 more years of Bobby Jr., or I said Bobby Jr.'s out, you get 3 years of Bob Sr. to come in there and coach the Sun Devils. Which one are you picking?
I would roll the dice on Bob Jr. I think Bobby Hurley, he got like the rational thought process and like sound decision making that his mom probably has. And it's crazy. If you want to have a good laugh, watch when Bobby yells at a ref on Tuesday night and then watch his son walk up to the ref and then like, hey, I know he's a little crazy. That happens all night long.
All right. Wes Miller. Who is Wes Miller coaching now? Who does he volunteer to take over?
I think he would go with Arizona. He's a North Carolina guy. He wants a big brand.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a great thought process there. All right. Johnny Dawkins. Sorry, Johnny. Duke not in the Big 12 yet. Maybe one day when the ACC falls apart. Johnny Dawkins, let's see. Who remaining has maybe had the most guys in some form of legal trouble on their roster? Is that because that seems to be a prereq that Johnny looks for in building a roster right now? That's not me. That's facts, folks. That's facts. Just look it up. Well,
I don't think there. I can't think.
No, I think really it's just Johnny's hoarding all of the issues down there. Well, would he take Oklahoma State because they're kind of cool with that down there? Mike Gundy, Ollie Gordon,
Johnny, Oklahoma State.
Gotta play him more.
Boys Club, okay, all right. Johnny Dawkins goes to Oklahoma State where there are no rules. That's the outlaw, Johnny Dawkins. I love that pick. Okay, next up. Steve Lutz, he can't coach Oklahoma State anymore.
Wait. Actually, wouldn't Dawkins take Texas Tech? Their slogan is "Guns Up."
Yeah,
might be too on the nose. I think you kind of want to, you want to slide it under the rug a little. You don't want to be all the way out there, and you don't want to embrace your delinquency. All right, Steve Lutz. He seems like a rational human being, right? Like he would probably just go best team available out there. And although he's a Texas guy, like born in Texas, all that stuff, does he jump the line and does he try to steal Baylor from, Jerome Tang or somebody that could be coming
up? Can we get a list of what schools are available?
So Texas Tech, BYU, Iowa State, Baylor, West Virginia, K-State, TCU, Utah, UCF, Cincinnati, Arizona State, Colorado. A lot of them out there. Really?
We can give Lutz Tech.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. He'd be down for that.
Texas
all right.
Guy.
So, let's see. The Utah interim head coach. Josh Eilert. I was about to say, I don't know who it would be, but then I know exactly who it is. It's Josh Eilert. He gets West Virginia. His country roads take him home to where he was the interim coach last year. Although this is kind of the only coach where we could also say, would he just want to be the K-State head coach for a week? Because he was on the sidelines for K-State, BYU, and Provo this year for the football games. So he obviously still has some love for the Cats there.
West Virginia is a lot funnier.
Okay.
West
All right.
Virginia.
Josh Eiler, the new head coach at West Virginia for the second time in his career. Then that moves us down the list. That takes us to Jamie Dixon. This is where we probably bring some of the better teams back into play, where Jamie's probably looking at it and saying, hey, this is I need to get a better team. I need somebody that can finish above 500 in the Big 12. So that pretty much leaves Jamie would take Iowa State, right? That feels like his
Jamie would pick
profile
Iowa
team.
State.
Well, or he would become rational and be like, I was best when I was coaching in like the Rust Belt, and he takes the Cincy job.
Oh.
And he goes, you know what? I know that they've had whiffs of fraud all year long, and they're not that good, but like they probably should have been better than what they are. I can win with Cincinnati.
He starts telling himself, hey, there are some good players in this part of the country that people don't find.
Yeah.
I can yeah,
He's like,
okay,
I say we give him Cincinnati.
and
yeah,
and
I like
because
Dan
he's always
Skillings
been
Jr.
a big city coach, you know.
I can talk myself
DFW,
into Jizzle
Pittsburgh.
James.
Yep.
We'll give him
All right,
Cincinnati.
all right, so Jamie gets Jizzle in Cincinnati, and let's see. That brings us to Jerome Tang, who is next on the list with his selection of who he would coach for a week in the Big 12 tournament if he can't coach his own school. Let's see. Well, would the funniest be that he goes and coaches Iowa State?
Yes,
That would be the funniest. I don't know if he would select it. I think
we can give him Baylor.
He just starts juicy wiggling during the games.
He would probably embrace that in a big way. That'd be the irony of it. Jerome Tang is a perfect example of if he was Iowa State's coach and like obviously they were winning games, those people would be all about it. They would think it was the best thing ever. Instead, I think he's public enemy number one in Ames now.
Yeah,
they needed somebody to replace Bill Snyder, who they irrationally hated. So Jerome Tang is taking that place. So I don't think we can give it. I think it is Baylor. I think he would go back there and he would try to carry on Scott Drew's legacy.
Yeah.
Which then brings us to West Virginia, and we'll see who Darren DeVries would rather coach. Me,
he would have been sitting there praying that Tang takes Baylor and he can go to Iowa.
That's a great point.
It's Iowa State for sure.
He would have been like, Jerome, can I trade you?
Yep. All right, great call. Scott Drew running out of bodies here, Scott. Who is Scott Drew taking, which means teams available: Colorado, Arizona State, UCF, Utah, BYU is still out there. Oh, it'd be BYU, I think.
What?
Because
No.
You don't think so?
You know where his brother coaches?
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay. So this feels like a personal thing to try and get Scott Drew to Arizona State.
I also think that Scott Drew is. I don't think that he's taking the BYU job.
But he is taking the Arizona. He wouldn't take Scott Drew 3 jobs he would not take: Kentucky, Indiana, BYU, but ASU. That's the one.
He just wants to be close to his boy Bryce.
Okay. All right. That's fair. That is fair. Shout out to the Drews, and Valpo tried to make a run in the MVC, and All Right almost got him there. Couldn't do it though.
By the way, All Right's dad, K-State grad.
I know. I blew my friend's mind this weekend. The best man in my wedding went to Valparaiso, and so we were talking about it. And he brought up All Right, and I said, "Well, you know, his dad played at K-State," and then I was like, "And he has a brother named Always." Okay, so Scott Drew takes Arizona State. Bill Self is out there. If you're talking about Self want a team that can shoot, he would take BYU then.
Yeah.
Right.
He'd be cool with that.
Okay. All right. Then that brings us to Iowa State and TJ Otzelberger. This is where it gets dicey, folks. Not a lot of good teams left out there to take. So let's see. That leaves TCU, Utah, UCF, and Colorado available, I believe. making sure I'm not forgetting anybody. I think Otts. If we're talking like gun show, the guy probably wants to go to Florida, right?
Starts coaching in short.
We'll give him UCF.
Yeah. All right.
Guys wearing like 6-inch inseam shorts on the sideline.
Yeah, he's showing up in the board shorts instead of the Nike pants now. Okay, so Otts has a job, and now we're looking at Kevin Young. And where would he go? Well, these guys, once they get into the state of Utah, they really just don't ever like to leave. They kind of just trade back and forth. You look at guys and you're like, oh, he coaches at BYU. He must have gone to BYU. Oh, no, this guy went to Utah. Oh, this guy's at Utah. Oh, he actually went to BYU. That's weird, especially for a fan base that they seem to all really hate each other that much, but they have no problem taking
Maybe
the money.
that's why.
Could be. So are we cool with Kevin Young getting the Utah job?
Yeah.
Okay. Kevin Young, he is from Salt Lake City. So there you go. And he went to college in Georgia. So there you go. Yeah, Kevin Young, congratulations, head coach of the Utes. He'd like that. He would probably try to clone Gabe Madsen and say, can I get all these guys to shoot like this? But he gets that. And then
have
that
the same tattoos.
Yeah, that takes us to Tommy Lloyd now. Who is Tommy coaching? This is
he would probably quit before he had to do this.
He'd go back to coaching as an assistant at Gonzaga.
Oh, wait, actually, we're going to do this. Tommy Lloyd is going to co-coach with Kevin Young. So Tommy can get to see apparently just how good that Utah roster was, since it was shameful that Craig Smith got fired or whatever he wanted to cry about. And so suck on that, Tommy. Go enjoy the Utah Utes for a week and tell me what Craig Smith was doing that was so great down there. Yeah, I'm so sick of these coaches telling us, oh, it's a hard job. It's a hard job. Some of these guys have been here for like 5 years and just sitting there, not even making the NIT. And I'm supposed to believe they're doing a great job. They're making millions of dollars. Like, they're going to be okay. I don't think the Smith family's hurting for money today, even though dad's unemployed. Also, his kid's still on the team. So, what are you going to do? And his other kid is a coach on the team. So I think the Smith family figured this out. I think they've been treated okay in this process. Tommy.
I got to look something up.
Okay. While you're looking that up, we'll get to this. Grant McCasland, who is he taking? He's probably calling Jerome Tang and saying, you turd, you stole Tyler Perry from me, you stole Baylor from me, what do I have left? Grant McCasland.
Who are our teams left?
TCU and Colorado. And
isn't K-State?
Oh yeah, K-State is available. So okay. Yeah, K-State is still available.
Yeah, I would take that if I was.
Yeah, we'll give McCaslin K-State because
that's good value for Grant. That's great pick.
He's getting fans that will show up in Kansas City.
Yeah, and then Kelvin Sampson, he either gets Colorado or TCU are his options.
He's another one that would just quit. But we'll give him TCU. He can stay in Texas, and then Colorado can just be coachless.
I like that. Just they've really kind of played like that all season.
They get interim head coach Danny Manning.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, Colorado's coached by Danny Manning for the Big 12 tournament. And honestly, that's the Hail Mary that Colorado should go for. They say,
yeah, Danny and the Miracles part two.
Yeah, love it. Perfect. All right, we figured it out. Sorry for wasting everybody's time there. Let's talk real Big 12 tournament now. That's the K-State football schedule. Second time I've done this, trying to throw it up there. Now let's talk Big 12 tournament. I had a couple of questions that I told Gabe to prepare for, and in classic KSO show fashion, I'm just going to fire him at Drew without any preparedness. I told Gabe to pick a team that starts on each day of the tournament that he thought had the best chance to win it all. This really is the most fascinating for Tuesday and Wednesday, because once we get to Thursday, it's kind of like who's the best team there. But Drew, I'll let you think about that, and Gabe can share his picks on who has the
holy
best
crap!
chance to win from the day of their start.
I thought that you were gonna have me just go.
Yeah, hey, pick your bracket. Pick your bracket, Drew. I want you live right now. Pick your Big 12 bracket. No, you can think on that.
I would go with K-State on any of the teams that start on Tuesday, solely because we've seen them catch lightning in a bottle before.
They actually won 6 straight games at one point this year in Big 12
They've
play.
won, yes.
That's the thing I looked at is you look at some of these teams. TCU has not won more than 3 straight games all season. Oklahoma State has not won more than 3 straight games all season. Like a bunch of these teams haven't even won the amount of games in a row in the non-con that they would need to win the Big 12 tournament.
Yeah, I think that it has to be K-State from Tuesday's games. And if you're going to pick anyone else, you're insane, because every other team has an extreme flaw, or as you pointed out, has not won like 5 consecutive games at all this year. I think from Wednesday, it has to be KU. You can argue for Iowa State. I just wouldn't, because their route is BYU and then Houston probably, and then another title game. And I think KU, what we saw throughout the regular season, so they're either going to get UCF, who they've obliterated on the road and kind of messed around with at home, Utah, who they should have beaten, played like crap, and I just don't know if that's a repeat matchup now that they don't have their head coach.
Especially in Kansas City.
Kansas City, yes. Yeah. And then on Thursday night, they're going to get an Arizona team who they just played on Saturday. And watching that game, I had the realization that those are the same teams, except for Dickinson and Adams are just better than Visar and Awaka. Both teams have one guard who can create a shot off the dribble, which is Mayo and Caleb Love. Jaden Bradley's unwilling to shoot it unless it's like a mid-range, which I guess is the equivalent of DeJuan being unwilling to shoot anything other than a floater. And they're always searching for somebody, whether it's Rylan Griffin shooting a 3, or whether it's KJ Lewis minutes or the Anthony Del Orso minutes. They're kind of the same team. And then you just give them the fact that it would be in Kansas City, and Dickinson had no trouble being guarded by Awaka. He just shot over him all day long. So I would go with them. And then I actually think Houston versus Tech is a debate as to which one is more likely, because Houston's path is tougher, but they're just a better team. So I would go with Houston on Thursday.
Drew, have you had time to manifest in your head, or you want me to? I'll give mine. I'll give you some more time to think through this.
Oh, I was gonna say I'm ready to go now.
All right. Then no, rip the Band-Aid off. Let's hear it. Let's
can
go.
I pick the same teams as Gabe, or do we have to pick all like different?
No, you can. If you have the same teams, this is not a draft here, so you can pick the same teams if you believe that in your heart.
So Tuesday, it has to be K-State. Like no other team, I think, even has like a remote chance of winning the second game.
Know, Drew. Cincinnati was a top 15 team at one point this season. You don't think they recaptured that? You're a big Bearcat guy.
No.
Okay.
And then on Wednesday, it probably is KU, just because Iowa State's path is ridiculous. And then to be different than Gabe, I was actually going to go with Texas Tech on Thursday. Just their path is so much more navigable than the top half. Like the bottom games are going to be kind of disgusting for the first couple days.
And if we're being honest with ourselves, Houston only lost to one Big 12 team this year, and it was Texas Tech in Houston, inside the Fertitta Center, when Grant McCasland got kicked out of the game in the first half, along
with JT Toppin.
Yeah, I was going to say, along with their best player. So that would be the theory there. I think if you're talking about who could do it on Tuesday, K-State has the best path. And like I said, they're the only one of those teams that ever won that many consecutive games. Number one against Big 12 competition this year. But for most of them, there aren't many that won 5 games consecutively at any point in their season. Colorado hilariously did what we talk about. They were 12-2 after non-conference play, and they're going to finish the year 15-29 or 15-19 or whatever it's going to be. So that's a tough pill for them to swallow. Day 2, Kansas is probably the right answer because I do look at it and say, everybody theorizes all those years where Bill Self would show up and it's just kind of like, does this really matter? And they lose. Or sometimes like, I don't know how much effort they would put into it, but like they were so much better than everybody else than they would win it. Or they'd get there and there'd be the motivation. Like you think about any of those years where they had to play like K-State in the title game. I think there was, we kind of got our flex or muscle here. So the path is easier. They can beat all those teams down there. And I look at it and say that like this year they could use it as a get right type of thing where this is new season part 3 for those guys. They're starting their 3rd season in Kansas City. I think you could do that, but because I'm not an idiot and I know how much those idiots love Kansas City, Iowa State is who I will take that starts on day 2. Yeah, I know.
Gross.
I know.
The problem is they're a bad team recently.
I'm thinking they find it. I'm just going off of the vibe, the Kansas City vibes, which
They
really
found it
should
on
just not
Saturday.
should not be an acceptable thing. Did they find it, or did K-State say, "Oh, here, Velma, your glasses were laying on the floor over here"? I don't think she was doing it. I think that Shaggy and Scooby were picking it up. Let's see. Then day 3. Tech has the path. Houston, the scenario would be we're the best team. Who cares? But we still win it. But I'm going off the back of history in which that no team seeded number 1 in the Big 12 tournament, not named Kansas, has ever won the Big 12 tournament as the 1 seed. So I'm going to zig when everybody zags. And I'm going to take BYU here because I like watching them chuck threes, and they get past Iowa State. That's a tough stretch, so it's just more so me hoping and trying to be different. I think the real answer is probably Texas Tech, though. Just path-wise, really anybody that gets out of there and didn't have to play Iowa State / BYU and Houston, that's going to be the real benefit in this process, is that you only have to play Houston out of that crew, and you may not even have to play them. It could be BYU or Iowa State, who they have flaws of their own. So that's where I see it. What other thoughts do you each have on this before we wrap up? I'll let Drew go first.
No, I think that BYU has a legitimate shot. We talked before we started recording. If I was going to place a futures bet to win the Big 12 tournament right now, I think that I'd pick BYU with the odds that they have. I think they're plus 1,100 on DraftKings, plus 1,500 on FanDuel. And I think that if they can get past Iowa State, they'll give Houston a good run. And then if they get there, you can always hedge it on the championship game. But that would be the best value that I see right now on the board looking at conference tournament winner.
I'm fascinated by how Arizona looks this week, because they are, if you're in the weeds on Big 12 Twitter, there is a battle brewing amongst themselves because Tommy Lloyd claimed that the McHale Center could be louder. And they have no more games left in the McHale Center for anyone to prove that. But I don't necessarily know if that's going to go over great among the Wildcat fans. And I'm also intrigued. I just think watching Houston on a neutral floor is an interesting situation, because there's something about when they play at home, it just kind of overwhelms you. The fact that they can foul 45 times a night and be called for 22 fouls, like that just happens. But we've seen them, whether it was I know that the Big 12 title game last year was Iowa State, and there was all the Cyclone fans taking over the arena. But even in Kansas City, when they played in the Sweet 16 a couple years ago and lost to Miami, that's why if you're going to sell yourself on BYU, like Drew is alluding to, the idea of a team just jacking threes and just making everything on them, and I think that because of Houston's style of play, it's just not a style of play that neutral court fans support. And it's not something that you're wanting to get behind of just like, oh, we're just going to miss a bunch of shots and go get our own rebounds and we're going to punch you in the mouth the whole game. So even though Houston is the 1 seed and even though I think that they're going to do decently and go to the title game, and I would pick them, I'm just always interested to watch them play on the neutral court because I feel like they're always going to be a team that people root against in this scenario.
Yeah, no, I think I think that's a good point. I'm looking right now to see how like ref dependent things might get for Houston, because that could be one of those. It's like, here you getting. We know Doug Sermons loves a good home crowd, so if they're playing Iowa State or KU at any point, like, does that crowd have an effect? And is Doug overruling guys like, no, I had a block there. I had a block there. It's interesting. It's something to think about, which, by the way, Doug Sermons has officially, for a couple years now, since my man John Higgins got out of it, he has been confirmed as the Mason Voth #1 referee. But I just want it to be known that Kip Kissinger is also getting my stamp of approval. So I will not say anything bad about those two guys ever for the rest of time, unless they get to a stage where they're washed like Tony Padilla. But I never thought Tony Padilla was good to begin with, despite what the experts say. So just throwing that.
Tony Padilla, Tony Padilla will have a moment in Kansas City this weekend.
Oh, yeah. What?
I don't know what the moment's going to be, but he will have a moment.
That's a great point. He is gonna have one. Tony Padilla's most recent Big 12 games, for people to think about moments. It's done no favors for Tony Padilla that all of the games he's done recently in the Big 12 have all been close games. Saturday he did Houston Baylor. That was a 4-point game. He did during the midweek West Virginia Utah. That was a 2-point game. He did Texas Tech KU. That was a 5-point game. UCF K-State 4-point game. Cincinnati Baylor 2-point game. BYU Arizona 1-point game. Houston Arizona State 15-point game. But the night before that, Utah K-State was a 5-point game. But he, in that 15-point loss for Arizona State, he went Tony Padilla still.
Yeah, he threw a guy out.
And then backing up from that, he had Iowa State Cincinnati 81-70. TCU Oklahoma State 1-point game. Baylor UCF 15-point game. K-State Arizona State 1-point game. Baylor Kansas. Like, the amount of close games that this man has been involved in. There have been a lot of blowouts in the Big 12 this year. This guy has seemingly found himself in the middle of almost all of the close ones. So
it really makes you think.
Questions are being asked. Questions are being asked. What's going on there, Tony? I think it's just that he sucks at his job. That's kind of what I think is going on there, but we'll see how that comes out. So I'll be watching the officials. I can't wait to see those assignments and how they end up working out.
I have a final question.
Okay. Also, real quick, no idea that one of the 12th rated official on Ken Palm this year is based out of Wichita. So there you go.
Stand up, Wichita.
ICT pride.
I think this is the third year of the Big 12 Eats. You've reviewed several of the items. There's some retreads on the menu this year. Is there anything that's standing out? Are there any food reviews we should be anticipating in Kansas City this week, Mason?
This is a great question. So let me go through real quick. I probably won't do any of the retreads just because, like, that's a waste of my money. I've already tried it. I need to be different. The one that I haven't had yet that's coming back is that I think is just a pretty safe play is the Mountaineer pepperoni roll. I think that would be a good, like, snack option at one point, see how they present it. ASU's just got smoked boneless wings this year, so like wings are always a good play. I think just because we went to Skyline last year and it stuck, I'm abstaining from the Cincinnati cheese coney. You're not getting me to do that.
Absolutely not.
Also, had a bad experience with chili cheese dogs in the second grade. Last day of school before Christmas break, for some reason they gave us foot-long chili dogs, second graders, and most kids, it was like they got up there and like, I don't want the chili on there, whatever, just plain. They were eating plain hot dog. And for some reason, I was just like, yeah, give it to me, whatever. I like chili cheese. I like hot dogs. What? I ate a majority of this chili cheese hot dog. We go out to recess, and then we come in. It's a half day. Last thing we're doing is our Christmas party. So I get back in, and I start to not feel very well. And I tell my teacher, and so she's like, well, walk down the hall, see what your mom thinks, because my mom was a third grade teacher in the same building. So she's right there. I go in, and I tell her what the deal is, and she looks at the clock, and she says, Mason, we got 30 minutes left in the day. Can you just go tough it out or whatever? I was like, I guess, but I did not feel well. I walk back into my room, Christmas party going on. They're coming around. They got like snacks and drinks. They asked me if I want anything. No, I don't need a snack. I'll take a drink or whatever. Take 2 sips of Kool-Aid. I throw up all over the place. And then I had to go. It was, kind of one of those, oh, he was actually sick things. So I have to go down, lay in the nurse's office. They didn't offer me a change of clothes, so I just laid there for 30 minutes in my own vomit in the nurse's office at Union Valley Elementary School. And then my grandma told my family she didn't want us coming up for Christmas a couple days later because she didn't want me getting everybody sick. So I ruined Christmas, whatever year that would have been, 2006, I guess. But that's my chili cheese story. And for years after, I could not do anything like chili cheese related. I could eat chili, but I couldn't eat it on anything, or like, I still can't. Like my wife sometimes is like, no, I have to explain to her chili cheese fries. Nope, can't do them. So the chili cheese coney will not be happening for me.
So now we have the origin of why you hate Wes Miller and you want to call him a fraud. Like you're attempting to manifest Cincinnati being a fraud because you're a victim of food that region loves.
Here's the other problem. I really hate that the K-State item has been so like, that's one that they're trying to wedge the purple in there. It's become a little bit more novelty than actually, is this going to be good? Like last year it was the fried PB&J, which I thought was good. But like this year it's the steak tacos, probably good, but like I'm going to have to see how they do the purple aspect of that, or the weird purple relish dog that they did the year before that. Oklahoma State has pizza this year. That might be something interesting in trying out, or the Majera special, the pastrami smash burger. We'll have to see, but those are kind of what I'm looking at there. I'm not a huge like sweets guy, so like Cosmos churros, I'm probably out on. Now, if that guy from the Pop-Tarts Bowl was coming, he'd be all over those.
I think that they're like forcing us to go to Big 12 Eats because the media meal every day just being like the sub sandwich. I'd rather just do some Big 12 Eats during that time frame.
Oh, you hate sandwiches?
They had
every day, yeah.
At the women's tournament on Friday. I can boots on the ground report that.
All right, that's hard hitting journalism. That's
might have
great.
some fettuccine Alfredo coming your way.
Okay. That's weak pasta right there. I'm not Alfredo. No, I'm team spaghetti until I die. So, but that's all I got for everybody today. That's your full comprehensive Big 12 preview. We definitely covered everything that you wanted, and especially which coaches would change places with everybody. We'll have actual game coverage tomorrow from Kansas City. Post game, all of that. I'll be live afterwards. I don't really know with who yet. Maybe fan, maybe we'll figure it out. But we got things to sort through. Well, actually, DY will have no excuse. He'll be there. I don't know who it's going to be. We got to
figure out. We also got to figure out where we're going to do it. So we'll
because
figure it
last year
out.
was a disaster after the Iowa State game. It was loud where we were. So, yeah, we're going to have to find a quiet spot and get after it. And then, Big 12 eats all throughout the day. I have emptied my young child's college savings fund, and I will be trying to give everybody adequate reviews to tell them what you should be trying and everything else that comes with the fun of the Big 12 tournament. Because I think there's so many teams and, people are in weird spots with their fandom right now. I think there are still some pretty good tickets available. And every year I make this claim to everybody. If you haven't been, you absolutely should go. Take a day, take a couple days, because it is truly the best time of the year. And now that there's 3 days with 4 games, like that's just an awesome experience to sit around all day and watch college basketball, especially with teams and you see on a regular basis. So hopefully everybody can make it to T-Mobile Center at least one of the days this week. And hopefully, if you don't do it tomorrow, the Cats are still playing, but we get that answer starting tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. So thanks to Gabe for coming on. That's Drew Galloway. I'm Mason Voth. We are out of here. Long KSO show on a Monday. We have a recruiting update tomorrow with Drew to get everybody foaming at the mouth to talk some football as we count down the long, long days until spring ball finally arrives.